So now to make the sauce that this lamb will sit in. So first we have to make kind of the sauce it's going to be sitting in. And originally, yogurt wasn't part of the meal. Even though it has original Malmic origins, it was heavily changed in the 20th century by the head chef Rain Samar. So he's the one who brought in rice because of the involvement in World War I and kind of how the rice came into the Middle East along with Jordan and influenced how the dish was made. So we are going to put 4 cups of Greek yogurt in a large saucepan. You want to make sure you get all of the yogurt in there just to make sure you have enough sauce to cover that lamb. And while you're doing this, make sure you're keeping an eye on the lamb just so it doesn't burn. Now, you are going to take 1 egg white and you're going to mix it in with that yogurt. Make sure it's on medium. I forgot. And on top of that, salt. Again, one of my favorite things. Make sure it's kosher and add as much or as little as you want. The recipe calls for about a teaspoon, but it doesn't really matter because it just affects the taste of the sauce. So, now you're going to whisk all of these ingredients together. Awesome, and once you have the egg white in and the salt, you're just going to keep that on medium to high until it starts to simmer, and then you're going to grab your wooden spoon and just mix it in one way. If you want it super thick, that's awesome. If you want it really thin, that's awesome as well. It doesn't really matter what the sauce's consistency is as long as you're happy with it. So now I'm going to tend to both the meat and the yogurt, and we'll get back with spices and what to do next. Now what we're about to do is make the nuts. So you want a cup of almond and a cup of pine nuts. So what you're gonna do is more butter, so healthy for you, and you're gonna pour that all over the skillet. Awesome. Again, about a half cup. And so once that butter warms up, you're gonna put the pine nuts on them, roast them, and then you'll put that on the final product. Now let's go over to our lamb. So, as you can see, our lamb is cooked very well. Just making sure that there's no missing pieces. The onion has been cooked in, we've seasoned them. So now, let's add the sauce. So, you can see that it's a nice, thin mixture. We didn't really want it thick. And what you're gonna do is you're just gonna pour that in to the skillet. So, and you're just gonna stir that around. Make sure it gets on the lamb and the onion. And nice and sweet. Awesome. So once you have the yogurt in there, now you can add the seasoning. So, there are a few seasonings that I've picked. We have, I'll show you. We have cumin, we have paprika, we have cardamom, yep, that's right, and finally we have coriander. So, all pretty basic spices that you may have around the house. And again, the beauty of this dish is it's however much you want or don't want. So, you're just going to take a little of each, sprinkle it over your dish. Mix it up every once in a while just to make sure it doesn't get too concentrated. And just keep adding. This is a dish you really don't want to get distracted on. Just because you have the rice, you have the nuts, you have the lamb and the yogurt. It's all very important that it turns out perfect, because if you're making this, it's usually for a very big day in Islamic culture and, again, in other Middle Eastern cultures. So, I'm going to add this last spice. A little more. Now, you're just gonna let your lamb and yogurt and spices, all this good stuff, sit for about 10 minutes. Make sure it simmers, and then we will finish the dish next time we come back to the lamb. So now, some more of the amazing stuff. The butter is finally heating up. So we're gonna put, again, pine nut and almonds on it. So it doesn't really matter. You just wanna put them on there. Stir them. You want them to roast for about 3 minutes, so not even that long. And these nuts were in the Malmic Empire. They were part of the original meal. And this was because they were so utilized in trade, and they were also found around the places that this meal was originated, and they just give the dish flavor. They make it more enjoyable. It's a nice, nutty flavor to mix up the seasoning and the yogurt. It's a lot of different tastes coming together, and it's awesome. So we're just gonna let that sit. Make sure it's about in between high and medium. We have to make sure. Also wooden spoon. Oh well. This should work. Just make sure that your rice, again, you're mixing it just to make sure that it doesn't burn or get stuck on the bottom. You need about 3 cups of rice, by the way, and that'll go on at the very end. So we're gonna let the nuts cook. Oh gosh, didn't like that. We're gonna let the nuts cook. We're gonna let the lamb sit, and we're gonna let the rice soften, and then we'll move on to the next step. We're almost there. I have seemed to have burnt my nuts. They're a little black, but it's okay. We don't discriminate in this kitchen. So we have poured the rice in, layered the bottom with pita. So now it's finally time to take that lamb and Greek yogurt off of the stove. So I've already stopped. It's simmered. The lamb is cooked. It looks delicious. It smells delicious. So now it's time for the final step. We will take the lamb and make sure the pan is close, because this part gets a little messy. And you are gonna pour the lamb over that rice. Now, mix it up so it should be with the rice. You should mix it all around. Well, it may not be the most beautiful thing, but that's just my cooking flaw. It should look something like this. We did it. This, unfortunately, is the end of our kosher halal episode. And through a lot of hardships,
some burnt nuts,
and a lot of laughing.
Kitchen nightmares?
Yeah, that too. We probably need Gordon Ramsay. But we have successfully made beer bread, traditional Islamic meatballs, some beautiful falafel, mansif, and our dessert.
Oh, me, baklava. So, although we separated when we were cooking the food and explained the different types of cultures, we kind of decided that we wanted to go all in and try a little bit of each food, see what we thought, see which one was maybe our favorite, and see who's the better chef.
So, while this is not kosher by any means, it is technically halal, and that's the real difference. Anyone under the Islamic faith can eat any of this food because they don't have to distinguish between meat and dairy. They don't have to separate that fact out. But if you are kosher, like my friend Emma is here, or cooking as kosher or for a kosher family, you could only really have either the mansif. You can't even have the mansif. You could really only have the kosher foods that my colleague has made.
But that shows the dedication of the religion. This food was hard for me personally to make, and even harder to find the ingredients. We had to go to different butcher shops. We couldn't just go to your average neighborhood Kroger. So not only was it a search to find the ingredients, but it was truly dedication to have to separate them all out, use different ovens, different refrigerators, and the whole process through and through shows the beauty and the dedication of both religions. So I say, we dig in.
Cheers. What do you want to try first?
I mean, I'm going straight for this baklava because it is 2:30 in the morning and some dessert sounds nice.
It's really sweet.
But not too sweet. It's good. It's really good.
True. Now try some of the mancha.
Why is it? What are these? Nathan, are these pinto beans?
No, those are pine nuts.
Ah, yes, clearly.
Mmm.
I'll give you credit for that lamb, though. That's really good.
The lamb is good. I've never had falafel before. How do you eat this?
I've never made falafel before, so
It
let's see
tastes-
how this goes.
Oh my gosh.
Nope, not a fan.
Really?
Not a fan. I don't think I cooked these enough. They're chewy.
But they're like, they have a nice spice to them, and they taste healthy. They're not.
They were fried. They're definitely not the healthiest thing here.
Okay. I'm gonna finish that later. I don't want to get the rest of it. Let's try some of these meatballs.
They're a little bit cold.
Yeah, but
They're delicious.
they are amazing.
I'll give you credit for these. These I would make again and eat just to eat.
And the beer bread, we'll get to that later. We don't really have a knife to cut it up at the moment, so we'd have to like split your puts. So that's the end of the Emma Nathan show. Join us next time.